Alright, how to achieve the full planche. Heavily requested video, so today I'll explain you how I got my full planche and I'll take you through a training of a full planche entirely. So first of all, whether you're working on the lean planche or the tuck planche, advanced tuck, one leg, straddle or full, I believe the exercises you need are the same. There are 3 exercises and those are planche push-ups, planche presses, and planche holds. So in the push-up, you'll do, like this. In the press, you'll press to handstand. And in the hold, well, you hold the planche. And all the other exercises, as far as my opinion goes, are accessory. And accessories have their own place, but I'll cover that at the end of my training where I will do some accessories. So those 3 exercises you need. And basically how I structure my training and how I did it from the beginning is I pick one of those exercises and I do them as like a main part of my training, aka I will do them around 5 sets. In the first few sets, at least 3 sets, I avoid failure so that I can do the same or similar content for a set for multiple sets. And then after that, I start ramping up the intensity, doing some stuff to failure before moving on to my second exercise, which is kind of like a finishing touch. So for example, what I mostly did from the beginning is I focused on planche push-ups. Planche push-ups, and then as a second exercise, I would do my holds or my hold attempts. The reason being is because planche is, well, basically a power exercise. You need to have power, you need to have strength to do it. So what you're going to be aiming for is strength exercises. And the planche push-up is, in my opinion, really good for this because it doesn't require as much balance as a press. If you press, you can likely lose balance, And if you lose balance, well, that's basically not a set to waste, but it's not a set that went as intended. So for me, I focused entirely on planche push-ups and holds until I got the full planche. Matter of fact, I got my handstand after I got my full planche once I started practicing the press. But anyway, what I do try to kind of notify myself or pay attention to is during the planche push-up exercises, I try to mix in a bit of a hold, because if you only do spamming planche push-ups, you're not actually working the planche position. So what I tend to do is I either have a hold in between my push-ups, like a small hold, or I do a hold at the end of my set. But either way, I don't just do a set with only spamming the push-up, because that's not going to help a lot. So I'm just going to show you an example because I'm training push today as well. So what I will do is I will set a timer every 4 minutes. Basically for rest time, I would say take at least 3 minutes of rest because you're training for power. You want to be recovered for each set. If you have more time, that's fine as well. You can take even longer. So my first few sets will be quite similar. I'm going to do today 3 sets of 2 full planche push-ups. And that's going to be kind of like my feeler sets, my sets to feel the movement. I'm not going to go to failure on these sets because I want to be able to repeat them 3 times. And then after that, I'll move into some more intense stuff, but still focusing on the push-up. So let's go. All right, and now I basically have 3 minutes and 50 seconds left for rest. I'm gonna sit here and chill and do the next set. See you there. Alright, I did 3 sets of 2 push-ups. As you can see, the last set felt more difficult than the first one. And that's normal. That's just about the right intensity, It starts becoming difficult, especially like set 3, 4, and 5, if you do 4 and 5, you know. Today I'm not gonna do 5 sets of the same stuff. Instead, what I'm gonna do is, now I'm gonna move on to some more thrashing stuff, you know. I'm gonna do a bit less clean reps, with a bit more volume, and I'm gonna go to my maximum. So here I'm gonna start losing a lot of power, but that's okay because I'm only gonna do 2 sets more. Regarding the reps and the sets, well, the sets we talked about. On your main exercise, you're gonna get around 5 sets in general, in my opinion. Could be a bit more, could be a bit less, but in general around 5. When it comes to rep ranges, for those first few sets, you know, those similar sets, try to aim between 2 and 8 reps because you're training for power. You know, you want to gain strength. So if you aim for more than 8 reps, it's gonna be more like endurance based, especially if you're doing your reps clean. That's not really what you need at this point. Although I would avoid 1 rep maxes or like 1 rep sets, unless it's like the first time you're aiming for like a hold in straddle planche, for example, or you're trying to get your first one-legged planche push-up or something like that. You can do attempts of those things, but keep in mind that if you do only attempts, your volume of your training will go down drastically. So you have to make up for it with some other sets that have a bit more volume. So in general, between 2 and 8 reps, I think is okay. So now I'm gonna move on to my heavy sets. I'm gonna do a couple of sets of more push-ups and maybe mix in some presses. These are not really like determined from beforehand. I just try to do something that I think I couldn't do the previous time, or I just challenge myself with something that I think will be difficult for me. And I go on like that. One more thing, I guess I have to say, with these sets, if you do the same shit over and over again, don't expect to grow. You have to make sure that, for example, today I did 3 sets of 2 reps. So next time, I'm not gonna do 3 sets of 2 reps again. I'm gonna maybe aim for 3 reps on the last set, you know? Even if I can get 1 more rep, that's more than last time. That's enough. Because you have to have these small increments in your training. If you just do the same shit, well, you're gonna get the same results. So try to get a bit more of like reps or whole seconds each time you do your workout. And if you can't progress anymore on a certain exercise, then change up your training a little bit, you know? Maybe do some banded push-ups or like do a bit extra reps with a lighter weight, or move to tuck planche if you were on lean planche, I don't know. Or pick an entirely different exercise. Do some presses, do some holds as your main exercise, I don't know, but do something different in an area that you can progress again. Right, it's time for my failure set, so I have to get in the zone here. As you can see, not clean at all, but damn sure challenging. So satisfying, in my opinion. I'm feeling my fucking New Year's dinner from yesterday. Holy shit. Alright, I'm gonna do 1 more or 2 more push-up sets, and then I'm gonna move on to some holds and presses. Alright, that's it for the push-ups. I think, yeah, exactly 5 sets. So I think this is enough volume. Now I'm gonna move on to some band-assisted planche to do some holds and presses. Okay, so for the second exercise, I usually do about 3 sets, I would say. Sometimes a bit less, sometimes a bit more, of course. It's not like really determined. And like regarding the load or the intensity, it's a bit lower. So I'm gonna use some band assistance here to do my full planche. And I'm gonna do some holds and presses. Alright, boys and girls, on this last sit, the sickest Pokemon song is jamming in the background. Same sit as the previous two, few seconds holds, some presses, gonna be a good finisher. Let's move on to accessories. Okay, regarding the actual planche workout, this was everything. 8 sets, that's enough. I'm gonna rest for a couple of days and then do the same shit or similar shit again. But I am gonna do some accessories now. Now, accessories, don't get it twisted. They don't directly benefit your planche, especially if you're doing dips or push-ups or pull-ups. Like, those are not gonna directly affect your planche. So don't overdo the accessories. What do I mean by that? Let's say you're doing a workout and 50% of your workout is planche and 50% is not planche related stuff. Well, then you should only expect 50% of the results because you're spending the other half of your workout on things that are not gonna matter directly for your planche. So if you completely disregard your accessories, well, wouldn't you get 100% of the results? True, I believe it's true, but there's also like a bit of a catch there. If you only train planche and only that, I think there is a bigger chance of like overuse injuries, like whatever forearms and wrist and whatever shoulder, biceps. Planche is quite a risky movement, right? I think if you only do the planche itself, you're gonna get injured along the way. So I believe every now and then an accessory is a good thing to do, but you don't need a lot of accessories, like one hard set, for example, or 2 sets that are a bit less hard. For example, today I'm gonna do 2 sets of push-ups to get a quick pump in my chest. That's sufficient. And you know, if you like really want to make your planche work safe, like today the push-ups I'm doing are not really like going to bulletproof my shoulders or anything. But for example, what you can do is like if you notice, oh, I'm experiencing some pain in my forearms, is you can do your accessories for your forearms to get them stronger. And that's going to keep you healthy. So I would say your accessories, I mean, like 10 to 20%. You don't have to go more than 20% on your accessories. And like, even though like I'm gonna do 2 sets, so technically 20% of my sets, they are accessories, but the intensity on these ones are not as high as on the planche. So it's not like I spend 20% of my energy on the accessories. It's more like 10 to 15, you know? So I'm still getting 80+% of the results on my planche while keeping my body healthy, while training safely. So that's why I do the accessories, even though like you hear these people say, oh, dips don't matter for your planche or push-ups, they won't help you. It's true. Like directly, they won't help you, but it will build you a base and it will keep your training safer, in my opinion, especially if you do it high rep to get a good pump, get some blood flowing in like your shoulder and arm areas. It's gonna help you along the way. So what I'm gonna do today is some incline push-ups. I'm gonna put my backpack on and I'm gonna pause at the bottom for a few seconds every time to get a good stretch and a good pump in my chest. All right, I'm gonna do one more set of this, not take too much time to rest, because like I said, this is just some pump stuff. Although I will note down my PRs on this, just like with the planche push-ups, I note down today I got 3 sets of 2. Next time I'm gonna try to beat it. This is the same stuff. I note down I got 15 reps, I think. I got 15. Next time I do this, I will try to beat it. Alright, just 2 sets of pump stuff. I don't need any more than that. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. I feel pumped as shit. So now let's sit down and talk about training frequency. Okay, training frequency. Now, in my opinion, training frequency is just like the exercises. It's something that you have to decide for yourself what feels good. But in general, I would recommend start with 2 or 3 times a week. So that's like 1 day of training, 2 days of rest, 1 day of training, 2 days of rest, and so on. That's how I started as well. And I think for most people, it will give good results. Now, if you do this training like, 2 rest days, 1 training day, and you feel like, hey, I want to train more, or I want to train less, and I want to train more intense, that's something entirely up to you. But like I said, a general starting point, I would recommend that. And for the trainings, today I did quite a heavy training. So I did 3 sets of main exercise technique work. Then I did 2 sets of main exercise, going all out balls to the walls. Those were my 2 max out sets. And then I did some more sets, 3 sets of a secondary exercise, which is kind of like accessory planche work, I guess. So I did 8 sets in total. But what's important here is that 2 of those sets were actually really bad form, trash sets, and those take a lot out of you. So if you're gonna train every 2 days, don't do those max out sets every time. I would say do those only when you feel fully recovered. In general, it's gonna be about every 2 trainings, so every 6 days, to every 3 trainings, so every 9 days, you have 1 or 2 relatively easy trainings, and then you'll probably feel more recovered, more strong, and then you can take use of that or make use of that and do 1, all-out training where you have a couple of sets that you just push everything you have out there, because let's be honest, the planche is technique work, the more you do it, the more time you put in. It's like piano. The more time you put in, the more you learn the movement. So a lot of training sub maximum effort is needed. But who doesn't love to go all out once in a while, So I'm not going to prohibit you from doing that, because the most important part regarding planche training is that you can continue it as well. If you are training sub maximum effort all the time and you don't like it, well, I guess you're not going to continue. So for me, a good in between for that is I do 1 to 2 trainings generally that are not all out, balls to the wall trainings, and then have 1 training or maybe 2 in a row where I try to peak and I do something new, I challenge myself, and that's what's fun, So that's it regarding training frequency. Let's see, do I need something else? I guess if you have any more questions, just put them in the comments. So that's it for today's training. I hope you enjoyed. Tomorrow I'll do something similar for front lever, so stay tuned for that.